Came across this story and thought, well, I haven't heard a whole lot of talk about this. I remember back in the days when Omar Al-Gabra was our transport minister, we seemed to be talking about different problems, different situations on a fairly regular basis. But now, little different. A recent UN agency audit has downgraded Canada's air travel regulatory and inspection regimes to the point that Canada has now fallen, and we'll find out just how significant this is, 30 points out of 100 since 2005. So what does it mean? Nick von Schoenberg is president of the Canadian Air Traffic Control Association. He is on the line. Nick, let's start with what exactly that does mean. That seems like a huge drop, is it?
Yeah, it is a big drop, obviously. I think we went from something like 95 to around 65% in that audit report. But like I said in the article that you're referencing, I haven't actually been given a copy of that report. The government has elected not to share that with me directly, so I haven't seen it. I don't know exactly what it says, although I have a pretty good sense just from word on the street and getting. I've received a high-level briefing from the government as well as from NAV Canada, and they've shared some information. But it's a ICAO report that has been done on Canada, and so I felt that the government probably should have shared that with us, but they've elected not to do that.
What would be the reason not to?
I'm not sure exactly. I think you probably would have to ask them why not. But, for me, obviously, I'd be a lot more comfortable speaking about these issues if I knew exactly how ICAO defined them and exactly what they found. Like I said, I have a sense there's a number of areas where Canada, I think, didn't do very well. Obviously, my concern is with the air navigation system because I'm the president for the controllers, so that's my primary area of concern. And I know, we have a number of issues that we feel are important that need to be addressed. I don't know exactly how much those would align with what was identified in the report.
I guess the first question people would have listening to this is, with respect, and we'll get into overworking, understaffing in a sec, but is there a concern here? And again, I realize you haven't seen the document, but I would imagine if there had been something serious we might know, over safety in general in air travel in this country?
No, and I don't think that's the purpose. And I think from what I understand, the report made it very clear that Canada's a safe place to fly. It's still one of the safest countries in the world. It didn't raise safety concerns per se. What it did is raise concerns around the degree of oversight and the level to which safety could be demonstrated by compliance with ICAO standards or alignment between government regulatory standards and ICAO standards. So, put it simply, it says maybe not that we're unsafe, but we don't know how safe we are.
I wonder if that's just as scary. Let me talk about specifically, as you mentioned, with respect to your people that you're representing here. So in terms of air traffic controllers, I'm reading in the article 2 words that nobody likes to see: overworked and understaffed. And I'm guessing some of this goes back to the pandemic. Is that where this started?
No, it didn't, actually. Obviously, the pandemic created a lot of issues for the company, created a lot of issues for a lot of companies and for the aviation sector in general. But we've been short-staffed for a number of years. In fact, I'd say we've been short-staffed since I started as an air traffic controller in 1996.
Wow.
Yeah, so the pandemic definitely made it worse. We have an aging controller workforce, so we're facing a lot of retirements in the next number of years. The nature of air traffic control is that it's a difficult job. It's a difficult job to recruit people into. It's a difficult job to train people for. The training takes a long time. The success rate is relatively low. So the pace at which you can recover controllers is not very large. And if you're facing a lot of retirements, it's hard to make headway.
You just said this has been going on since you started doing this. We're talking almost 30 years ago. My first question would have been, why are governments not funding this? Would that make a difference? But if it's going back that many years, this is obviously not in respect with one government or two. Why has this been going on so long?
Well, Yeah, that's a good question. I think it does come largely down to money. Um, the Nav Canada, who runs the air navigation system, it's a private company. It's a private, not-for-profit company. There's a specific funding model that they pursue. They're reliant on the customers that they serve, which are not exclusively, but largely the large commercial airlines that fly in and over Canada. And they want to keep rates low for those customers. Now, if you're trying to manage your costs, managing headcount is one of the first things that you do. Air traffic control is a very well-paid occupation, so I guess that's some added incentive to try to manage that headcount. And I think that's largely been the incentive. But like I said, it's a complex job, and there's not a lot of mobility among the workforce. There are some challenges to staffing this workforce that other occupations don't face, long training time being one, lack of mobility being another. So those are just inherent challenges that exist.
Because I'm now curious as you describe this. We know you said it as much now. It's a reasonably well-paying job. If you want to be an air traffic controller, are you footing the training here on your own? Does the government help you with this? How does it work?
No, you apply with the company, and there's a testing protocol. Like, it's changed over the years, but currently, they are trying to recruit, and they're having a hard time recruiting. In fact, they'll pay. The trainees are paid. I guess you'd call it a stipend or a salary, and they're paid that while they train. So it's actually a fantastic deal if you think about it. A lot of other occupations, you got to pay big money to go to university.
Right.
As an air traffic controller, you're not guaranteed success at the end of the training, but if you are successful, it's an excellent job, and you're paid along the way to train. So it can be a pretty great deal if you're successful.
I'm imagining people listening to this going, oh, that sounds pretty good. I'd like to consider doing something like that. First of all, with respect to the job, if you can just give people an idea, when you say training, how long is the program that once you get in?
Well, I think it'd be fair to say it's approximately 2 years to finish before you'd have a license. There are different types of controllers, and then once you become a controller, there's, all the units are a little bit unique. Each one's somewhat unique. But generally speaking, you could be a radar controller, or you could be a tower controller where you're looking out the window and talking to airplanes at airports. So those are the two basic streams. And like I said, it takes about 2 years training time. It's a great paying job. It's really exciting.
What's an air traffic controller start at? I mean, as a job, it's in terms of salary.
Starting salary, I think starting salary is, I'd say 120-ish. I'm guessing.
Okay, here come the applications. I should let you know, Nick. Here we go. Someone said, "What's the name of the company to apply?" See, all people need to do is kind of hear that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people think that's a pretty cool job, and then to hear that. I mean, the thing that scares me off is the fact that you mentioned how few people actually get through this at the outset. It's not easy to become one.
No, it's not easy, but there are a lot of things that aren't easy.
True.
Like, it's a great job. How many people apply? I don't know. The company would have that information.
Okay.
And
but
I
you
did a little.
You applied through Nav Canada?
Nav Canada, that's right. And I just did a little bit of checking here, and I think the standard starting salary when you qualify as a controller is just under $100,000.
Okay. Sounds pretty nice. Yeah. Listen, my last question, we kind of got off sort of topic here. I apologize. But with respect to this report, and it's not good, obviously, for the industry, what do you want to see happen here? I mean, what should the government be doing, in your opinion?
Well, that article, they were asking me about the report, and I said I'd like to see the report. So that's essentially what that was about. With respect to air traffic control in general, I think the government should have a little bit more oversight than they have had recently. I think there should be a little bit more control over the level of staffing. I think there should be some more regulations around minimum training. And I think currently what we're facing right now is an issue where we have the company implementing a fatigue program, but because we don't have enough people to fill all our spots,
Yeah.
the fatigue rules that have been implemented are really creating a lot of problems in the workforce because they're constricting the mobility on the schedule, flexibility on the schedule, and the sense from most controllers is they're not really helping, but they're hurting. So those are the big issues that we've got going right now.
Work to be done. Nick, want to thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, happy anytime.
Nick von Schoenberg, president, Canadian Air Traffic Control Association. And it's funny, these are real. People are like, where do I apply? That's a pretty nice gig, right? When you think about it. And I realize it's like he said, nothing is easy. Someone just texting in, ask about the crappy hours in remote locations. Yeah, you're not just working at Pearson or Dorval. There's a ton of airports across the country. You'd probably end up somewhere in the middle of nowhere, I guess, for a while. But then again, seems like a pretty good job. Although what I should have asked, just thought of it, was I wonder how AI will affect something like this. If artificial intelligence can figure out planes flying, leaving, taking off, is that a job that might be threatened?